Chicago Bears Now is presented by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com/chat. You can get 20% off plus free shipping, the Lawnmower 3.0, and all of their great men's grooming products. Go check that out, manscaped.com/chat. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. It is time to hand out some free agency grades. So far, things can change, but as of now, let's go ahead and hand out some grades. Allen Robinson, we'll start there. They obviously tagged him. I'll give it a D+. It's not an F because he's at least back, but you had over a year to get a long-term deal done, and you couldn't get it done. You haven't talked to him in terms of negotiations since September. I think that's a failure by Ryan Pace in this front office. I give it a D+. It's not an F because he's at least in the fold. He has signed his tender, which is a good sign, I guess, but I don't think he's very happy. I still think it's possible he could demand a trade at some point in time. Hopefully the Bears and Robinson can resume negotiations because remember, you have until July to get a long-term deal done with franchise-tagged players, but as of now, it's a D+. I don't think Pace handled this well, and Allen Robinson completely outproduced his last contract. He deserves a big contract, and unfortunately, couldn't get the job done. Will the Bears keep Allen Robinson beyond 2021? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I hope so. I hope it happens, but if no long-term deal is reached by July, then that percentage goes down significantly. So get your votes in. Will A-Rob be in Chicago beyond 2021? Andy Dalton, the big external free agent. I'm going to go D- here, and let me be clear, this grade is not about Dalton himself. This grade is about Ryan Pace. This grade is about your GM freaking out after you missed out on the Russell Wilson trade, or at least initially missed out. We'll see what happens over the next weeks and months. But your process can't be, okay, Seattle says no. Matt, hey, Coach Nagy, what do you think about signing Andy Dalton to 1 year, $13 million? Sure, let's do it. No! You don't do that! You have Nick Foles. Andy Dalton is a slight upgrade from Foles. I agree with that. But you don't go from, well, we're screwed, we missed out on Russell Wilson, we just have to overpay Andy Dalton. That's bad GMing. That's bad processing by this Chicago Bears front office. Now, at least to their sort of credit, they structured it in a way with 2 voidable years after 2021, whereas cap hit's only $5.3 million this year. But you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to do this. You especially didn't have to pay him as much as you did. Just wait. Be patient. You have Nick Foles. Yeah, he's a little worse than Dalton, but Andy Dalton's not saving you, Matt Nagy. He's not saving you, Ryan Pace. He's maybe winning you 1 extra game than Nick Foles. This is bad. Ryan Pace is bad at his job. We've covered this, and it happened again. Ryan Pace screwed the pooch on this one. Maybe he gets lucky and Seattle calls back and wants to trade Wilson, but my God, you don't just say, well, I guess we signed Dalton to $13 million now. That's just a bad move, in my opinion. D-, not because of Andy Dalton's level of play, because the GM, Ryan Pace, sucks. And if you agree with me, type F in the comments if you want Ryan Pace fired. It should have happened before 2020. It definitely should have happened after 2020. And look where we sit. We sit with an overpaid Andy Dalton. It's a bad situation. Spam F in the chat if you're watching live. Type F in the comments if you're watching on Wednesday or later. Just type F. It's bad. Ryan Pace sucks. Kyle Fuller, we'll hit on him even though he left. We'll talk about kind of the big moves overall. D+, losing him's not good. There's no doubt about it. I'm not going to be quite as harsh. I'm not going to go F, D- because $20 million cap, it was too much. We discussed that. I told you on our salary cap cuts candidates video that Kyle Fuller could get cut, and ultimately he did to save $11 million. They explored a trade. They asked him to take a pay cut. Neither worked out. Fuller was like, I'm not taking a pay cut, and why would he? He's 28 years old. The one thing they didn't explore was a contract extension. That is very disappointing and alarming because you could have lowered his cap this year by extending him. They decided not to do so, and so they cut him, and I'm giving it a D+ overall. Not the worst thing ever to save the $11 million, but still not great. The Lawnmower 3.0 is the top men's grooming product out there at Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com/chat. I'm giving this an A+, the only A I'm handing out today. A little teaser on that one. Manscaped has changed my life. I just got back from a trip. I took the Lawnmower 3.0 with me, cleaned things up. The wife and I had a great time, and I took our travel kit as well, which is great. The travel kit is a part of the perfect package. You get the boxers as well. When you're traveling, you can throw your toothpaste in there, your toothbrush, your comb, whatever you need. It's plenty spacious. You can fit the Lawnmower 3.0 in there as well. Go to manscaped.com/chat. These guys are great. They're going to give you 20% off plus free shipping. Trust me, the Lawnmower 3.0 is going to change your life for the better. So go ahead and take advantage. That link's in the comments and in the description. Desmond Trufant, so you lose Kyle Fuller by cutting him and you sign Trufant. I'll give it a C. We don't know the money yet as we're filming this. So if you're watching later, potentially we do know the value. 1-year deal, I'm going to guess it's $5 million or less, which means I think it's a decent value deal here. Let's be clear. He's not replacing Kyle Fuller. He'll help bridge that gap a little bit. This is a guy who's played at a high level in the past, but he's dealt with injuries the past couple of years, especially last year, and just didn't play that well in 2020 for the Detroit Lions. I'll give him a bit of a pass due to the injuries and the Lions being a mess, but the Bears need Trufant healthy. That's number one. If he's fully healthy, I think this is at least a CB2 type of player. He's a guy that can come in there and give you some solid reps and be an every down cornerback on the outside. I don't think he'll be peak Desmond Trufant, from back in his Falcons days, but I still think he can play at a decent level, but he ain't replacing Kyle Fuller. Let's be very clear about that. Who do you guys think is CB1? Type DT for Desmond Trufant, type JJ for Jalen Johnson. I actually think it's Jalen Johnson. I think he played really well this past season, so I'm going to type my JJ for Jalen Johnson. Couple quick ones here. I'll give the Angelo Blackson deal a C. 2 years, low money, good rotation piece. It helps replace Robertson-Harris a little bit there. I don't think he's quite as good as him, but 2.5 sacks last year, not bad for your interior defensive lineman, so I don't mind that move. Germain Attaochu, I'll give it a B-. I think he's an upgrade from Barkevious Mingo, who the Bears just lost to the Atlanta Falcons. 5 sacks last year as a rotation guy, 7 TFLs. Hell, maybe he pushes Robert Quinn. Quinn stunk last year. Maybe this is what Quinn needs to kind of, ramp back up to what he was a couple of years ago with the Cowboys. I actually like this move, B- for Germain Attaochu. Subscribe to Chicago Bears Now. You guys see the link on screen. It's youtube.com/Bears Now. If you're watching live, we're closing in on 24,000 subscribers. We can only get there with your help. Daily videos, rumors, news, grades for free agency. We'll grade the draft as well. We're going to do it all, so go ahead and subscribe right now. Some other notable, I combined other and notable there, re-signings. Mario Edwards, I'll give that move a B-. 3 years, $11.5 million. Maybe a slight overpay, but considering Robertson-Harris got $24 million for 3 years, I actually think that's a pretty good deal. Has some character concerns, but he was pretty productive last year. D+ for Germain Ifedi, 1 year, $5 million. I thought it was an overpay. To me, he's like a swing offensive lineman. Ideally, he wouldn't start, but he was at least decent last year. I'll go D+. C+ for Deon Bush, good special teams guy, good third safety. You could argue B, B-. Don't know the exact details on the money, but I assume it's cheap. Cairo Santos, 3 year, $9 million. Great kicker last year, 25 of 27. He was outstanding. B+. Maybe 3 years is a little too much for a guy who was a journeyman before then, but he was great last year. B for Pat O'Donnell. Plenty of reps last year because this offense stunk, so I'll give the punter a B. Best signing for the Bears so far. It can be a re-signing. It can be an external signing. Let me know what's been your favorite signing so far. Is it Cairo Santos? I mean, honestly, that's how bad this has been, guys. So let me know what's been the Bears' best signing so far. Obviously, some notable losses. Trubisky signs for cheap with Buffalo. I think that was calculated by him. Good offense for him. I think that's an opportunity for him to step back and learn in Brian Dable's system. Kyle Fuller to Denver, obviously a big loss. Robertson-Harris, I think that's kind of you bring back Mario Edwards for cheaper. I think that's fine. Brent Urban, you bring in Angelo Blackson, whatever. Barkevius Mingo, I think you actually upgraded there as well. So kind of these these fringe roster signings, the Bears have done okay with. They just haven't gotten any A-level players, so that's been the problem. Biggest loss so far, it's clearly Kyle Fuller, right? He's a CB1, so that's a huge loss for the Chicago Bears. You're probably not going to be able to replace him. Trufant helps, but he's not going to replace Kyle Fuller. So I assume that's your answer. Go ahead and type your answers down below. Chicago Bears now on Chat Sports. You got to look at the Bears free agency period as a whole as we hand out grades here. You look at it all, D-. Sorry, Ryan Pace, you suck at your job. That's just the facts of the matter. Swung and miss on Russell Wilson, which, look, I'm not gonna gas Pace too much for that, but hey, it is what it is. You're judged by what you do at quarterback. What I am gonna rip you for is, we didn't get Wilson? Let's overpay for Andy Dalton. That's just bad processing, bad GM move on his part. You tagged Allen Robinson, you cut Kyle Fuller. Neither are great since you should have signed A-Rob long term, and you probably should have extended Kyle Fuller. So D- overall. I don't love what the Bears have done, and quite frankly, it's been pretty much a disaster. It's not a complete F. You've done some okay moves, especially some of the secondary moves the Bears have made. I think some of their depth pieces they've added have been nice moves, but overall, it's been bad. All offseason, we've talked about quarterback, and you end up with overpaid Andy Dalton? Yeah, that's a disaster, if you ask me. Kind of, recapping what they've done overall. The notable signings from non-Bears players last year. You bring in Andy Dalton again, that's an overpay. Desmond Trufant, maybe he gets back to what he was before 2020, but overall he was bad and injured last year. Not going to replace Kyle Fuller. Germain Attaochu, I think he's an upgrade from Barkevius Mingo, so I'm fine with that. Angelo Blackson, good depth player. I'm fine with that as well. Your notable re-signings, Allen Robinson on the franchise tag, obviously. I'd feel a lot better if he was locked in long-term. Mario Edwards, I like that move. Hopefully he can keep his head on straight. Santos, good last year. Hopefully he repeats it. Germain Ifedi, clear overpay, but the Bears needed offensive line depth, so they brought him back 1 year and $5 million. Notable losses, you lose Mitch Trubisky for cheap. I think he was ready to move on, but Dalton for $13 million or Trubisky for $2.5 million? I think that's pretty obvious. Kyle Fuller, that's a big loss. You cut him. The Broncos signed him. Robertson-Harris, Jag signed him. Good for him, getting paid. The former UDFA. I think you're fine with Mario Edwards there. Brent Urban to the Cowboys. Good rotation piece last year. You bring in Angelo Blackson. Maybe that's kind of a push there. And then Barkevius Mingo. Again, I think Attaochu's an upgrade. You lose him as well. All in all, Ryan Pace has failed again. He has not been able to figure out quarterback. He gave Mike Glennon $45 million. He traded up for Mitch Trubisky in a draft that included Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. I'm not going to blame him too much for Russell Wilson, but he freaked out and overpaid Andy Dalton. You don't do that. You just don't do it. He's made too many mistakes, not only at quarterback, but in other key areas as well. Why do you give Robert Quinn $70 million? I don't get it. He's just bad. I'm not saying he has no value in a front office. Can't be a GM, though. Yet the Bears continue to employ this guy. He has failed once again. Grade the Bears free agency as a whole. Let's hear it. I gave it a D-. Can't give it a complete F, but it's been really bad. A, B, C, D, or F. And if you want to overachieve, give me your reasons why you handed out that grade.